I'm Robert Cavuto, and today on Sonic Perspectives, I'm excited to be speaking with Adrian Smith for the release of Smith Kotzen's new album, Black Light, White Noise, which will be released April 4th. Adrian, thank you so much for taking the time today. It's a pleasure to speak with you.
All right, how are you?
I'm sorry to hear what happened to your house during the LA fires. My prayers are with you and your family.
Yeah, I mean it's a tough one. It was a really bad situation here in Southern California.
Yes.
But luckily, everyone, well, my family was okay, but we lost the house. But yeah, what can you do?
After working together with Richie on the first album and then the EP, was this album easier to create as a team now that you knew each other better?
Yeah, probably slightly, but I mean the process was exactly the same. You know,
Hmm.
we sit down, just the two of us. He has a studio in his house. He's all geared up for recording. He's got drums mic'd up. He's got the amps mic'd up. So it's a very creative environment. We just sit together. There's no producer, no engineers. We just sort of do it all ourselves, and just work on the song from the ground up, scratch. I mean, with Maiden, it's completely different. They go in and record the band live.
Yeah.
Sometimes we only know the song vaguely, new song, we learn it, bang, record it, and then kind of patch it up. But with Richie and I, it's much more meticulous. So we're writing and recording as we're going along. But yeah, I suppose you refine and focus a bit more on what you're doing, and yeah, so it's probably a little bit easier.
The architecture of the album also seems very comfortable, very organic. It really it seems like it came from the playing to the singing. It seemed like it all came together very easy. Was that the case?
Um, yeah, it is fun. I think the only difficult part, I think, for both of us, or the hardest part, is writing lyrics. But Richie's very meticulous about it, and he won't rest until the lyrics make sense and are
Mhm.
perfect. There's no shortcuts in the lyrics. So I think the lyrics are important. Good titles. Sometimes we get a title. For example, uh, the song Black Light
Right.
was started life out as another song completely. But when we finished it, we weren't satisfied, so we stripped it all down, started again, and we had a title, Black Light. So we sort of wrote around that. What happens when you shine a black light on something? You see something different. So you use that as with example with people. You look at them in a different light. There's deception. There's things are not
Hmm.
thing. Anyway, so but the music is the easier part. Yeah, normally I'll come in with a riff. Richie will have a great chorus, or sometimes the other way around. But we both know roughly what we want to hear. Yeah.
Right, right.
So we're normally sort of 85% agreed, and then there's 15% where makes it a little bit more interesting, a little bit of conflict. But you know,
Yeah, I think that's important for putting together an album. There has to be a
yeah.
little bit. That leads up to my next question. I imagine you get asked to write and record with a lot of people, a lot of talented people. Assuming, sometimes despite how talented they are, maybe it just doesn't work out. What was about the chemistry that you had with Richie right off the bat that made you decide to work with him?
Well, it was probably 5, 6 years ago we first got together. We became friends. I bought a house in on the west coast of America here in LA, and I live here part time. There's a great music community. I met Richie, became friends. I've got a music room at my house. Well, I did, and uh, I have friends over there. We jam. Got a little electric drum kit, a few amps. A little
Yeah,
PA. Play Bad Company, Stevie Ray, whatever. Me and
yeah,
Richie, and my missus, after one of these evenings, said, "Why don't you guys write together? You're playing, you're having fun." So, all right. So we agreed to do that. I went to Richie's, and by the end of the first day, we had the song running on
hmm,
the first album, and a song called Scars. Not
yeah.
finished, but we had a rough thing, and I thought, well, there's something to this. Uh, and we were both sort of trading vocals. I mean, Richie's a fantastic singer. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I've always wanted to collaborate. I grew up singing and playing the guitar, so I've always wanted to collaborate with someone to harmonize and trade off of. I've done things on my own before, but I prefer to collaborate with someone. There's more energy and more,
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the songs where you're doing duets or trading off on a verse or whatnot, did you guys each sing the entire song and then cut it down in production to see where it would work and where it would fit perfectly?
Well, what usually happens is we'll start on a song. Maybe I'll say, example, I'll bring in a verse, and Richie will, will write a bridge. Richie will come up with the chorus, but there'll be no finished lyrics or anything. So we've got the music, and then Richie will say to me, "Okay, you go in the studio on your own and sing what you want to sing," and
yeah.
so I'll just have a go at it. He'll say, "Have at it, have at it, go for it," and he'll go up and have a cup of coffee or something. I'll spend an hour or two just trying stuff out, writing lyrics and experimenting, and then I'll maybe have some ideas for the verse, a couple of lines for the bridge, maybe a title for the chorus, and they come back down, and then I'll leave the studio. He'll have at it, and come listen, see what we got. Sometimes we'll trade in a verse, or sometimes I'll sing the whole verse. Depends what I've done. If what I've done is good, I will just leave it.
Yeah.
But it just, these things, I think, Richie's got more range, so he'll normally sing the choruses, so because you want the choruses to lift. So it works out. I mean, as soon as you listen to something, whether it's good enough or not. So if what I do is good enough, we'll leave it, and then Richie kind of fills in.
I thought it was great to hear your voice too. Singing. I'm a big Iron Maiden fan, so it's great to hear you actually sing. So I always found that fascinating, an aspect of it, and it sounds great and really blends well with Richie, like your guitar playing.
Well, I when I was 15 years old, back in London, I met Dave Murray, who's the other guitarist of Maiden.
Yeah,
we became sort of best buddies because no one else in our neighbourhood at that time was into sort of Deep Purple and Free. Like, we were crazy about it. We had long hair already.
Yeah.
all the other kids were into soul music, and all the other kids wanted to do was get cars and get married and all that. Nothing wrong with that. But we wanted guitars, and we wanted to be in a band. That was it. I mean, we were just obsessed with it. So Dave could play the guitar already, and I wanted to be in a band with him. I said, well, I'll have a go at singing, So that's how I started.
Right.
I sang and learned guitar as I went along. And I did that right up until I joined Maiden. I was fronting a band and singing, and I paid my dues in the pubs and clubs, singing through, shitty PAs, no monitors, singing myself raw, and loved every minute of it almost, And but I put it to one side when I joined Maiden, but it's always been in my DNA. I just love to do it.
That's great.
So
That's great.
I made a solo album in 88, 89 called Silver and Gold, which I listened to the other day, and it sounded all right. It sounded good. And but I never had any singing lessons or anything. But it's just I just love to do it. And like I say, my dream has always been to have someone to trade off, because I always loved, the Purple lineup that had the two singers. Humble Pie had Frampton and Marriott, guitar playing singers. And I like Clapton, and I like Stevie Ray. I think they're quite underrated singers, actually. Gary Moore, great singer. So I like that, If you take the guitar away from me, I'll get a bit shy. I couldn't stand up there with just a mic. So that's,
feel kind of naked, right?
Yeah, exactly. Naked and afraid. Yeah.
Naked and afraid.
So, but I love trading with Richie. Richie's a fantastic singer. I'm learning a lot of him as I go as well. He's a lot more. Yeah.
Beyond the Pale, very ethereal guitar-wise, obviously, of course, vocal-wise. You've always had a very fluid style of playing, like Blackmore or Uli John Roth, particularly with Maiden. And now on these songs too. Where did that style emulate from?
Guitar style? Well, you absorb influences. When I was a kid, it was Free, Paul Kossoff. I think Richie Blackmore was the closest thing in the 70s you had to a shredder. You didn't really have shredders, but he was the shredder in those days. So I wouldn't say I was influenced. I like Blackmore, but there's no way as a kid you could sort of play Highway Star, or so we started out playing Stones songs, Beatles, whatever, even Chuck Berry, Davey knew all those licks, Chuck Berry licks. So it's kind of blues based playing. I was influenced probably by the second generation of blues, like Paul Kossoff, the guys in Lizzie, Michael Schenker, I loved.
Yeah.
That's but I was never. I'll never be like a shredding kind of guitar. It's a more melodic. I like the space. I like the feel. That's what I try and do.
And it works perfectly too. And made with Dave and Yannick, each of you guys have different aspects, strengths, and it all comes together. And that's what makes it.
Plus, there's so much guitar playing going on, and there's so much space for three guitarists.
Right.
I think with SK, the songs are kind of shorter, so more to the point.
Knowing that history of you enjoying the second generation of the blues, Richie's got rhythm and blues. He's also got jazz fusion, and you're most famously known for metal. How did the guitar playing come together? How does it, and what do you think makes it work so well?
Well, I think it's just a kind of a sensibility, isn't it? It's like, we both know what we want to achieve. I think it's unspoken. We want powerful songs, but memorable songs. I mean, for me, I like to take the spirit of 70s rock. I grew up, I keep repeating this, but 70s rock, that bluesy kind of swaggering, dirty kind of riff, kind of driven rock. So I take that as my inspiration. But at the same time, I think with SK, we try and bring it to another level, try and, make a memorable chorus, make it into a song rather than just a rambling sort of a jam with loads of sort of whittling going on. So, make cohesive, focused songs out of it. But, punchy, keep it punchy.
Yeah. I thought the album was pretty diverse too. You have Heavy Weather, which is the smoky blues. You have Blindside, which is one of my favorite songs on there. Heavy riff, straight up. Did you create that? I didn't have the liner notes. Did you come up with the riff, and how did it come about?
Blindsided is one of my favorite songs. Actually, it's very a nod to the Who, isn't it? I won't get fooled again. I mean, it's that kind of thing. Probably one of my all-time favorite albums. But then again, that's just the inspiration, and you try and take it to another level. And Richie came up with that chorus. I mean, which is kind of off the wall, but it works.
It works.
So, right there is a little, in a nutshell, is what probably we're about. A powerful riff and a sort of a slamming chorus.
That's great. The same goes in line with Life Unchained. I mean, that starts off very ethereal, and you're like, all right, that's cool. And then it just really goes off the rails, with hard rock, pretty much like heavy metal. Was those two separate songs, two separate ideas that you guys blended together? Or was it always intentional to have that dichotomy of, very ethereal and then just kick it in?
Yeah, that was sort of a deliberate thing. I mean, I think they were two separate. I think when we came back in early 2024 to finish the album, we wrote 6 songs at the beginning of 2023 in a period of about 6 weeks. They were finished, and then we had to finish the album. So I thought we needed a fast rocker. I mean, that riff is very generic, but it works. Like a driving AC/DC kind of a riff, but to put something melodic to set it up, just the contrast, something sort of almost gives you a full sense of security, and then sort of in the side of the head, Life Unchained. And the interesting thing about that song is it's the chorus is very kind of unusual. And I had those chords, I don't know where they came from, and then Richie came up with the concept of Life Unchained, and it worked great,
How important is the lyrical message on these songs? Because are they the integral driver for the guitar tone, or is it, more or less the song itself and then you're backfilling with the lyrics?
I think personally, I think it's the music usually comes first. You hear a riff, and then you maybe hear some sounds of 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 uh, uh, of vocal lines. Just you're scat singing. You scat sing
Yeah.
over the backing track, and you know what they should sound like, but then you've got to make sense of it. So yeah. Otherwise, it's just nonsense. But so we normally start scatting around, and sometimes, I mean, there was a song on the first album called Solar Fire,
Yeah.
and we had the music. Richie had that music, and we were listening to the backing track, going back and forth, and singing, just nonsense. And I said to Richie, "Did you just sing Solar Fire? It sounded like you sang Solar Fire." He said, "No, no, I don't think so." I said, yeah, "Well, it sounded like it. It's good. We should, So we work.
Yeah.
So that's how these things happen.
That's fun.
I can't remember the specific song we were talking about, but yeah, the lyrics are hard compared to music. I mean, but once you come up with it, you get on a roll, and it's
Yeah.
exciting. And I think it is important, and it's important, if nothing else, that as you're singing it, you mean it, because people have got to think you mean it when you sing it. That's all part of it. When you hear that first line in the song, does it draw you in? Like, do you want to listen to the story, or is it just like, whatever? You got to make it. That first line is very important.
And it's got to be authentic and believable. And
Yeah.
I think you guys do that extremely well.
Thanks.
Richie's voice and your voice are very emotive. They're very emotional, and they come across as believable.
All
I
right.
believe these stories. I believe this
Yeah.
is what you're going through. And this is what you're feeling. So I thought that
Yeah.
was,
You got to be convincing. Yeah.
I've interviewed Richie countless times over the years for his solo albums. He told me once that he hears 99% of the song complete in his head.
Wow. Yeah.
Is that the case with you?
Um, yeah, I guess you visualize it.
Yeah.
Another example is on the first album, we did a song called Running,
Hmm.
which is the first song we ever wrote together. And I remember I was getting my stuff ready to go to Richie's studio on the first day. And I sat down with my guitar and I came up with a riff to Running, but I wouldn't have done it unless I was meeting Richie. He kind of inspired it because
Yeah.
I know the way he plays. So I said, what do you do here? So that's the kind of thing. That's a spark,
Yeah.
trading off ideas and just getting inspired by each other.
That's cool. Going back to the guitar playing, you play with a pick. He doesn't play with a pick.
Mm.
It's so foreign to me not to play with a
Yeah.
pick. I've always played with a pick. Is that odd to you originally? I mean, was it a challenge to get the tones to marry, somebody playing with a pick and somebody playing with their fingers? Because I got to believe that it's different tones coming out of the guitar, despite the guitar you're playing.
Yeah, it's interesting because it is a completely different sound with your fingers. I mean, I do sometimes use it when I'm just noodling around, and I
Yeah.
love that plucking fat sound you can get. But the speed he gets doing it is just unbelievable. I don't know how he does it. I mean, I've watched him in the studio laying down solos, and I'm just like, I don't know how he does it. It's
I
just
don't
like,
either.
it's, to me, it's voodoo to me. It's like, you know. But yeah, but at the same time, he's got a good melodic sense as well. So, there's usually some melodic bits in there as well. So, as far as tones go, I mean, we pretty much use. I mean, Richie's got a garage full of amplifiers. Most of my gear is in England in a warehouse.
Mhm.
So I just use whatever Richie's got lying around.
Oh,
He's got some good amps. Got a little Marshall Plexi, I think we used on most of the album. And then if I want a bit more gain for solos, I just use like a little tube screamer or something. And that's about it. I mean, also as well, we don't stack guitars up. It's a very organic kind of him on one side, me on the other side. You can hear both what we're doing. It's not like these modern records where you have like multiple stacked guitars. We wanted to keep it organic.
no, it's great. Richie, I was talking to Richie and you guys always do these albums together in person. It's not emailing back and forth parts and you're recording and he's recording. And I said, oh, you guys, have a beer and you get together. He goes, no, it's coffee and tea.
Yeah.
So that was funny to hear. But he said during one of these conversations he asked you what was your favorite Iron Maiden song. He would not tell me what you told him. Is that something you could share?
Probably one of my favorites has always been a song Rothchild.
It's a great one.
That's a great one. It's not a great one to play, weirdly. It's
Mm,
kind of awkward to play. That riff is kind of awkward, but I like the song. I do love the song, yeah.
that's a great song. I can't listen to Rat Child without Ides of March in front of it.
Oh, right. Yeah,
I
yeah,
and
yeah.
it if somebody just plays on, Pandora or whatever the case, and they just go into Rat Child, I was like, wait a minute, I feel like I was gypped.
Yeah, yeah. That's a great intro to an album, isn't it? Yeah.
It
I remember
is.
that was the first time. I mean, I'd done a couple of singles with another band before that, a band called Urchin,
Mhm.
but I'd never done an album. And we did it with Martin Birch, who had produced, all our favorite records. It was very
Right.
intimidating at first, but yeah, that's a special one. Ides of March in the Rough Child. Yeah.
I thought you were going to say The Wasted Years or Writing on the Wall, but I was completely wrong. I would have never
Oh
thought.
no. Well, you get a lot of favorite ones, but I suppose that one sticks in the memory.
Yeah, and Richie mentioned that there's no plans for you guys to tour in 2025. You're going to try and make it happen for 2026. That looked like a strong possibility.
Yeah, yeah. I
Good.
think we're busy this year. I think early part of 2026 is looking good. I'd love to take these songs, play them live. I think they'd sound
Yeah.
great. It'd be great fun to do. And we just did an acoustic show at the Grammy Museum
Yes.
a couple of days ago, and that went really well. It was me and Richie, Julie Alage, who's a touring bass player and also Richie's wife,
Hmm.
and percussionist Mike Odabashian. And it went great. We did 4 songs from the first album and 3 new ones. And so that
Cool.
might be something we can pursue in the future.
Incorporate acoustic set, a couple songs
Well,
there.
maybe do I don't know, but yeah, we'll be looking at that in the future.
That'd be great. Yeah, I'd love
Yeah,
to see it. I know you did the West Coast right around pandemic, or I think after pandemic. So
yeah.
it'd be great. I'm on the East Coast, so it'd be great to have
Okay,
you out there. So that would be
yeah.
wonderful.
Hey, I like it's all over. It's logistics,
Of
It's it's
course, of course.
it's tough to put these things together.
Yeah, they definitely are. Well, listen, I want to thank you so much for your time. It was truly an honor to speak with you. One of my favorite guitar players growing up, and
Oh,
that's one
thank
of
you.
my favorite bands. So thank you so much for your time today.
All right, nice to talk to you.
Have a great day. Bye bye.
Yes, bye.